It appears to me, based on this Attorney General's opinion, that if you signed under threat, duress, and coercion, or if you put down non-assumpsit to the contents of this document, that you are lodging a protest. I think about the issues of child support. When you have child support, most people think that child support is for the mother and for the children. Actually, child support is something that's done for the state. It is one of the greatest marketing frauds and marketing gimmicks, I believe, that's out there. I was reading another document recently talking about attorneys that represent Title 4D agency, which in the state of Texas is the Office of the Attorney General. Who do they represent when they go to court? Do they represent the mother and the children, or do they represent the state of Texas? They are representing the state of Texas. And child support, it's basically trying to protect the taxpayer from having to pay for the benefits that a mother and the children, or a father and the children, might receive, that somehow by making an individual pay this child support, that's going to make sure that the state does not have to pay it. Now, I'm not saying some of the stuff doesn't get routed to the mother and to the family, but this is basically a cost recuperation program, to the best of my knowledge. And again, somebody with better understanding of this can actually comment further about this. Again, no firsthand experience with this, that it's signing a child support document that you disagree with. Say, for example, you do not have the 50-50 possession with your children. You should be able to sign, I disagree with this document. I am forced to sign this under threat, duress, and coercion. It may be that you're paying child support to a person who makes more money than you, who doesn't need it, and they're going to use the child support to maybe do her hair, or maybe for him to go out on a golfing tour or something like that. We have no receipts that actually track the money that is being so-called exchanged or given to the custodial parent. We don't know how he or she is using that money whatsoever. So basically, it is just an exchange of property. And in many instances, the person who's paying the child support never even wanted a divorce, or never wanted to have a never formed family. And really, what the state is not telling you, however, though, is that the Title 4D agency and the child support is to help the state recoup monies, so that it's not taking the burdens of the expense. And this really caught me by surprise, because I was in one case that I watched this person, again, having no experience with child support from a personal level, but I went down to watch the Office of the Attorney General trying to make a person who was not the father pay child support to the mother. This was blatant paternity fraud. It happened in Houston, Texas. It was a friend of mine. I drove from Dallas down there, and I was really mystified at the beginning, because there were 3 attorneys present. His attorney was present, her attorney was present, and the third attorney was the attorney for the Office of the Attorney General. And it appeared to me that this was basically like a 2-on-1 gang up on my friend. He was stating that he was not the father. And then, of course, they had to go back and forth between the 2 attorneys. But the Office of the Attorney General, that attorney was trying to say, you acknowledge that you were the father, even though he had not done so. So as I'm watching this play out, his attorney starts to present his case to say he's not the father. And actually, the attorney of the mother agreed. The mother stated, you know what, he was not the only person that I had sex with. I realized that the DNA declares that he is not the father's, and there's another person. But the Office of the Attorney General actually guided her to name him as the father, because the other person had fled to Mexico, so they could not collect any child support. So the attorney for the Office of the Attorney General, the Child Support Enforcement Collection Agency here, they were trying to make the case that somehow we tricked him into signing that he was the father and that he owes this money. It was very deceitful on the part of that attorney, because both of the attorneys, his attorney and her attorney, agreed he was not the father. But the attorney for the Office of the Attorney General, the Child Support Enforcement Division, wanted to say, how are we going to get our money? He signed this document, and really, actually, I don't think he even signed the document. I think what happened was there were a few paychecks where the Office of the Attorney General took a few dollars out of his paycheck. And it was not a significant amount, that he didn't even notice it. But by doing that, that was the Office of the Attorney General making claim to him that he did not protest because I don't even know that he was aware of it, but making protest that he was acknowledging that he was the father. So the whole thing about child support, again, I think that both parents should support their children. The best support for a child is to have both parents actively involved in children's life, preferably in the same household, preferably married. The Office of the Attorney General Child Support Enforcement Division, all they care about is the money. And if you're in a situation where there is a judge that orders child support, if it comes out that this is what the state is ordering you to do, my thought would be this: why don't you sign it and say, sign under threat, duress, and coercion, and non-assumpsit to the contents of this document. And perhaps then you could say, no, I did not agree to this. Because if you are not going to pay your child support, that the judge will put upon you, and that the Child Support Enforcement Division will be collecting and seeking to modify every time you get a raise or something like that, they can throw you in jail. They can take away your driver's license. They can take away your passport so you can't travel outside of the country because you might be, quote, a flight risk. They can take away your professional license. The stuff that they do, they have what they call weapons or arrows in their quiver to be able to bring compliance about by the paying parent. But the reality is, as far as I understand it, child support, the idea of child support, it is one of the greatest marketing frauds, marketing gimmicks that the state has perpetrated on the public. Child support, as we know it, is to reimburse the state, so that once they try to get a custodial parent to sign up for something, and basically they are relinquishing their rights, and they're given the rights of the state to collect and to go after this person. So custodial parents say, well, listen, I don't want the child support from that person, and the state says, we have a claim on that person. We are now going after the person who we determined to owe the child support. So the contract is really not between the person and the custodial parent. It's actually a contract between the non-custodial parent or the paying parent and the state. That is my understanding of it. So anyway, I've always wondered, because after I first read this a few years ago, I thought, why don't people do this? Why don't they write protest words beneath your signature on the state document, assuming that you have to sign this document somehow? Said, no. I was forced to sign this under threat, duress, and coercion, non-assumpsit to the contents of this document. The state is giving you an offer. You give them a counteroffer. If the state wants to accept your counteroffer, I guess maybe you go forth from there. But by writing down, forced to sign under threat, duress, and coercion, and non-assumpsit to the contents of this document, the way that I understand this Attorney General's opinion is that you have not accepted the offer to contract by the state, and therefore there is no contract that is valid. You can give them a counteroffer. I believe that you could possibly, if you wanted to, write in your conditions, if they want to have $1,000 a month, you could say $300 a month and 50-50 equal shared parenting, because you do want to support your children. If the fact is that apart from your support, the children may be in a position of dire poverty, and you're not just giving the money to somebody that now they have some more money just to spend on themselves, like on hair or on nails or on golf outings or vacations or whatever. The child support should be used for the children, not to increase the other person's lifestyle, and not a threat that the person can go to jail or lose his or her driver's license, professional licenses, passports, whatever the case may be. Once again, this is just my opinion. I don't know. Somebody with better experience, feel free to comment. This is just some thoughts that I have, and maybe my thoughts are wrong, but maybe there's some other thoughts that it may spur that you can add to it. Anyway, that's it for right now. Senator John Cornyn, at that time, the Attorney General John Cornyn, the effects of certain protest words written beneath a person's signature may indicate that you have not accepted the offer to contract, and the contract is not a valid contract. Anyway, thanks so much.